I love this hire, man. Now, while in the hospital, I couldn't react in real time the way that I wanted to at the previous open state of the defensive coordinator position for the Vikings, but I saw what was going down. I saw that Sean Desai withdrew his name from consideration, and I said, all right, it's not great, but all isn't necessarily lost. And then, Ejiro Evero finally allowed to interview for a lateral position thanks to the goodness of Sean Payton's heart in Denver. No thanks, I'm going to go to Carolina. And I said, okay. It got to the point for me to where I said, if we have to settle for Mike Pettin after last year's disaster known as Ed Donatel, that would be classic Vikings, of course. And then you've got Brian Flores, the last hope still possible, but he's interviewing for the Arizona head coaching job. In fact, at the time, had his second interview lined up. I figured there's no way. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the new led Minnesota Vikings defense by defensive coordinator Mike Pettin. Dear God. And then the news broke. Brian Flores chose the Vikings defensive coordinator job over the Arizona head coaching position. Wow. And in hindsight, what's going to be better for Brian Flores long term? Because he's going to be one and done. 2024, he'll be a head coach. He'll be gone somewhere else. And you know what? That's okay. Because that's the NFL today. When you're a head coach, whatever your expertise is, whether offense or defense, it's expected that you'll crush it on that side of the ball. The opposite of your expertise, your right-hand man, your defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, the amount of turnover in the league, every offseason or best case, every other offseason, you're looking for the next man up. But that's what it is. Kyle Shanahan, offensive-minded head coach. 2 years ago, lost Robert Saleh to the Jets. In comes DeMeco Ryans. Last 4 years between Saleh and Ryans, the Niners defense hasn't missed a beat. Top 5 during that time frame. In fact, number 1 in the league this year. So Brian Flores, what if he leaves? That literally applies to everybody. And I tell you what, take Flores' name out of it and say we signed instead Desai or Evero, and they crush it next year. Why would they not go for a head coaching gig after that? That's just how the league works. You have to build an infrastructure so you have the next man up. The alternative is, well, we could suck. Ed Donatel, he ain't getting a head coaching job. You could keep him around. Don't got to worry about him leaving. Oh! But with Brian Flores, I think this defensive coordinator job for the Vikings now, I think it sets him up for a better head coaching job next year opposed to Arizona right now. Because with Arizona, DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to get traded. Kyler Murray, that experiment is a dud. You have to rebuild a whole foundation with San Francisco and Seattle leading the way in the NFC West. Arizona is a hot-ass mess right now. Not great. But if you can turn around one of the league's worst defenses into a respectable one, then you gain more of a market for yourself and more of your pick of the litter for a better head coaching job next year, opposed to what you would have gotten in Arizona this year. I am so excited for this move. He is so overqualified for this job that it's going to be such a blessing for the Vikings. I can't wait to see it. Now, the main thing now, Brian Flores, check the roster. What are we going to do with this roster? He's going to bring the heat with the blitz. His first year in Miami, 11th in blitz percentage. The final 2 years, 2nd. Now, whether that's a 3-4 or 4-3 base, whatever he decides to run, I trust Brian Flores, but you need players that can execute. Speed, speed, speed. Brian Asamoah in open space, that's a good start, but you still need to overhaul this roster. How will Brian Flores want to build this defense from the ground up through the draft? Well, I've got 3 players that I'm looking at in the first round, potentially for the Vikings to take a look at, starting with Antonio Johnson, safety out of Texas A&M. With a fast defense, you can't just expect to be reckless and successful at the same time. You got to be able to react just as quickly in the chaos, but his footwork is impeccable. You can bring him down from safety to the second level to the line of scrimmage, whatever it is that you want. The way that he bends around would-be blockers to get around to make a play on the ball carrier, even if there are no blockers around him, in open space where you're susceptible to getting crossed up. Outstanding perimeter player. He's going to wreak havoc at the next level. Next up, I've got Isaiah Foskey, edge out of Notre Dame. At least 10 sacks in each of the last 2 years. Coming off the edge, the man just leans into you with his upper shoulder while delivering a mean chest punch. Pow pow! Love his motor, does not quit. Over the course of 4 quarters, I want 0 problems with this guy. And lastly, Noah Sewell, linebacker out of Oregon. 2022, not as great as he was in 21, where he had over 100 tackles and 4 sacks, but still, in a 3-4 base, you need a second inside linebacker bad. And what he offers to the table, Sewell, good footwork, great balance, athleticism versus the pass, dare I say, gives me shades of prime Eric Kendricks. Are you kidding me? Put Eric Kendricks, give me a time machine and bring me back Eric Kendricks from 4 years ago, put him on this defense under the direction of Brian Flores, sign me up any day of the week. But either way, I think this defense is in good hands with Brian Flores, even if he's gone in 2024. Let's go. We're back at it tomorrow. We'll see you then.